come say hi? So we have a lot to do today and so many changes that have happened recently, both personally and just new things that we're trying out here in the studio. So it's gonna be a really nice full studio vlog. And first I wanna show you guys one of the big personal changes that happened over the weekend, and that is Finn. So this is Finn. We rescued him from our local shelter on Saturday, and he's super skinny and has really bad hip dysplasia, so he's gonna need some surgery. He's kind of sickly, he's got really bad stomach issues, if you know what I mean. So he's gonna go to the vet today, but he is super sweet. He didn't have a name. They found him on the Indian reservation just wandering around. So he didn't have a name. I don't know if he had a family before, but he definitely hasn't been taken care of in a really long time either way. But he is such a sweet, no, don't bite the mic. He's a very sweet boy. So yeah, he is a part of the club now, and he's gonna get better. He's gotten a lot better already in the last 3 days that we've had him. Oh, you're so sweet. You're a sweet boy. You're so sweet. A quick little backstory on how we found Finn. On Thursday of last week, my family and I were in town going to go get dinner, and we saw a dog get hit and killed by a car. We were all like super upset. And the next day, Tom and I decided that we wanted to go to our local shelter just to see the dogs that were there and pet them and let them out and walk them and just be surrounded by dogs. And we saw Finn, and the weird thing about him is that he looks just like the dog that got hit by the car. And so we immediately had a connection with him. We walked him around, played with him for a little bit. He was super affectionate and sweet, and we noticed there was something wrong with his back hip. He was leaning really hard on it, and for him to be a puppy, it made me think that maybe he had gotten hit by a car too, or injured in some way, because he wasn't using that leg much. So they did end up taking him to the vet. He does have hip dysplasia, and so he's going to need surgery, but he's so skinny and lacks muscle, so we're gonna have to exercise him and build up that muscle before we give him that surgery. But other than that, I think he's just a little sickly from being on the streets. He's got really bad stomach issues right now, so he's probably adjusting to his food as well, but also the stress. And I wouldn't doubt if he has a parasite or something, especially with how skinny he is, because he does have an appetite and he does eat a lot. He definitely needs a lot of help and a lot of work, but he deserves it so much, you guys. He's so loving and gives the best hugs, and he's so sweet. So that's how my Memorial Day weekend went. I hope you had a good weekend and you got lots of food and lots of time in with your family and good time away from work. So we're gonna get into all of the jewelry making. First, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Adriana. I've been running my handmade jewelry business for the last 4 years, silversmithing for the last 3, and wax carving for about the last 1.5 to 2 years. I think it's been about 1.5 years. I have to go back in my archives, but I think it's been about 1.5 years. The cat's sneaking up on the dog. 1 second. Birdie does not like the dog, and so they've had an interesting relationship so far, and she is sneaking in, and he is sleeping on the floor right here. They don't like each other. I don't know what to do about it. They're starting to at least be able to be in the same room together. The first day she chased him, but every day I feel like they're letting each other get a little bit closer. Not to interact, but just to like cross paths. But anyway, so today we're gonna start by wax carving. I just need to get a few pieces that are for orders started so that I can put them in the kiln tonight. There's just a good mix today of things to do. I also am gonna be making an ear crawler for someone. It's a custom piece, so hopefully that can be done today. We also have a really exciting new tool that we're gonna open and try out here in the next few days. I'm gonna have a whole dedicated video on what I'm gonna be using this for. Pepe Tools was super nice and sent over their permanent jewelry welder, the Helix, and I'm sure you're probably thinking that I don't do permanent jewelry, and that is true. But there's so many other things that you can use a permanent jewelry welder for here in the studio. I can use it for closing jump rings, soldering ear posts, working with delicate chain. If you've ever soldered delicate chain. It is a nightmare. So now I can just weld it. But my biggest and most exciting thing that I am going to use this Helix welder for is for porosity. You guys know that I cast all of my work here in-house, and I used to have a lot more trouble with porosity in the beginning because I was still learning how to cast and learning all of the temperatures, and every now and then I would cast a little bit too high and I would have some of those pesky little pits in my jewelry. Now when I have porosity in my jewelry, it's just because I had an air bubble that maybe I didn't notice that was really, really thin and it didn't fully cast and it pitted right there. So that's usually what causes the porosity. But this welder is going to solve that. So now when I have porosity in a piece, I won't have to scrap it. I can zap that hole with the welder and it will fill it, and then I can file it down and move along with my day. Having this is gonna save me so much time, so I won't have to recreate the piece, burn it out in the kiln, and cast it. I'll just be able to solve it right then and there. Another really great thing for me about this welder, and for you guys too, if you are casting stones in place, then you know it is really, really challenging to resize a ring that has a stone that's been cast in place. You can use cool jewel, but you can't really wrap the setting because it's in the ring, if that makes sense. So I do have a ring that has a cast in place stone. It's my personal ring. So in that dedicated video, we're going to resize it and see how that process works and if it's able to protect the stone, which I'm sure it will. It's a super direct and like localized section of heat. But for now, let's open up the welder and set it up and see exactly how it works. But just know we're gonna have a good in-depth video later on. So if you're interested in that, just subscribe and stay tuned, turn on notifications so that you don't miss that video. But let's open up the Helix welder. Get the box out. So it is the next day. Finn's appointment went a little bit longer yesterday than I expected, so I ended the day when I came back. The doctor had really good things to say about his health and just the way that he was feeling, so we got some deworming medicine and some medicine to help with his belly. Hopefully him not being sick to his stomach and getting that deworming medicine will help him get stronger so that he can have that surgery that he needs. But those are all good things. I'm happy that he's okay and it's not a bigger problem. When I got back, I did play with the welder just for a little bit, just to keep tacking things together. The clip that you guys saw of me tacking that jump ring onto the chain was the first time, obviously, that I've ever used it, and it's very intuitive. I think what can make this machine a little bit intimidating is that there's so many things that come with it. You almost unpack it and you're like, oh my god, this is going to be a huge learning curve, but it's really not. If you just look at the ends of every wire, you'll know exactly where everything goes. There is like an instruction manual, but I know that we're all kind of bad and we don't really like read the details of that, so just so you know, everything is very obvious as to where it goes. It does come with the grounding wires, 2 different grounding wires, but I got the grounding pliers, which I definitely recommend. It's really helpful so I don't have to clip anything extra onto my pieces. The pliers themselves are already the ground that I'm holding the jewelry with, and that allows me to create that weld. So I think the pliers are really worth it, and if you have those pliers, then you can just set those other grounds aside. You don't need them. Another thing to remember is when you're setting this up, start at the lowest joules. I started at 3 and it wasn't effective, and then I just went up to 4, and it does jump up a lot with each joule. So just go really slowly based on whatever project you're doing. I think I did that jump ring and the chain at 5 joules and it worked perfectly. So just test whatever you're working on. If you've got a thicker piece of metal, then you're going to need to amp it up, and then obviously the finer stuff, 5 worked perfectly. It also has to take a little pause between welds, but it's super short, like seconds short. It doesn't need to recharge over minutes. It's literally seconds. The machine also doesn't come with this darkening screen, but it does come with some black glasses that act as a protective shield for your face. You do have to wear some eye protection for this. It's just like welding, how you're not supposed to look at someone welding and you are supposed to wear the helmet and it has the darkening screen. If you've ever worn a welding helmet, you can see right out of it, but as soon as you arc your weld, it turns black so that it can protect your eyes. This is the exact same thing. So if you don't have the darkening screen, if you don't purchase that separately, then you just have the glasses. But if you purchase the screen, you can see perfectly through it, and then when you go to weld, it turns black. But you can see so that you know where to place your jewelry, and then it zaps it and turns black. I really like the shield because it doesn't limit you on the angle of the welder. You can tilt the whole thing forward or back and it will tilt your welder up and down. Another thing to note is that this welder can run on argon gas, but you also don't need argon gas to create these welds. Argon gas will give you a stronger, cleaner weld rather than welding without one, but you don't need the argon gas. And you guys saw I added that jump ring onto that dainty chain and it worked like a charm. I'm not using the argon gas. I do have a tank, but I need the regulator, so I did buy the regulator and it's on the way, so I'll have a good idea of what the difference is. I will be making an entire like more in-depth video on what I use this tool for in my studio. I just need to have time to work with it so that I know exactly where it benefits me the most. I have many ideas, but I want to make sure I can implement them and do them and get good videos for you guys so that you can see it in action. But I'm very excited about it and I see a ton of potential in this welder, and so I'm really excited. So if you're interested in that video, just stay tuned. You can turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss when new videos come up. I do need to write down some of the orders that I need to get out today. I have to finish that ring today, the Napoli ring. I'll try and put a picture right here. I do need to get that wax one made and invested, and so I can cast it tonight, and then I will start on some other pieces. But let's just go ahead and get started.
am looking for a fire to keep me on the line. Yeah, a fire with a dazzling light. And I don't know if I am closer. Still looking for a fire in the end of the night. So don't hide it, 'cause I know that you do. I know that you do. Gotta find it now. I gotta find it now. Wait for me, baby. I gotta find it now. I gotta find it now.
So the flask is done for this Napoli ring. This one's going to be sterling silver and it takes 2 hours to set, but I'm not going to cast until the morning. So I'm going to leave it under the bell jar so it can hold its moisture. If you're going to let your flask sit more than the cure time, you want to put it in either a Ziploc bag or keep it under a bell jar, something that will hold the moisture, because when it burns out in the kiln, it needs that water to help burn away the wax. I injected a mold for another Napoli ring. I need to cast one tomorrow that's going to be 10 karat gold. So I have that one pretty much done. I just need to resize it. And then tomorrow after we cast, I can use that same flask and invest it. And since it'll be earlier in the morning, I'm hoping I can cast by the end of the day tomorrow. The gold one. I'm gonna go ahead and get dinner started because it's getting kind of late, and I'm making some chicken marsala, and the sauce takes a really long time to simmer down, so I'm gonna go get it started, and then I'm gonna come back and work on the ear crawler. It won't be super interesting to make or to see, so I don't think I'll be getting any clips. If I do, I'll put them here, but I'll also put a picture of what it looks like. I love the ear crawler so much. I've only made it one time and it was in silver, and I don't have a mold of it because it's not something I cast. I just pretty much melt the metal, and while it's in its molten state, I drag it out and shape it. But I'll put a picture of how that comes out. But I really want to ship out that crawler tomorrow along with some other finished pieces. So that pretty much ends today, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning when it's time to cast. So that casting came out super well, and it won't take me long to clean it up and polish it and take it to the post office today, but I want to make a quick coffee because I'm feeling really sleepy. I've been drinking coffee since I was a little girl. My mom used to make me coffee since pre-K and like wake me up with it in the morning, which I know sounds really young, but times were different. It was something that I always loved, having that whenever my mom was able to do that. So I've always been a big coffee drinker, and I've always had milk in my coffee, some café con leche. And as I've gotten older, I think I'm becoming more intolerant to milk and like heavy milk. I honestly almost didn't film the studio vlog, and I know this is gonna sound really stupid because I feel like whenever people say stuff like this, 99% of people are like, I never would have noticed if you wouldn't have said anything, so I totally get that. But if you're someone who's ever suffered with bad skin, then you know how like insecure it can make you feel. And one of my triggers for bad skin is milk. And I've been drinking more coffee recently, and I went from putting whole milk in my coffee to heavy whipping cream and sometimes half and half, and it made me break out so badly. So I started making my coffee a little different recently, and it's actually really good, and it doesn't have any milk in it. It's just this instant espresso and then the caramel, well, let me get it and let me show you. So I just use this espresso and then this coffee mate creamer. I think it's got some kind of dairy product in there, but it's not much. Like it says non-dairy on it, and I've never noticed that this makes me break out. But then I need some kind of milk to, like, you know, dilute it all, I guess. So I started using this Chobani oat milk, and it's extra creamy, and I think it's more geared toward people making their iced coffee. And it's actually really good, and I don't notice a huge difference at all. So if you're someone who is suffering with really bad skin, I've had bad skin since I think I turned 17, and then I went on Accutane when I was, I think, 21. And it was the best thing I had ever done. Obviously, there are risks with that medicine if it's something you've ever considered, but it's worth doing some research into it. But for me, it was the best thing I ever did, and my skin has never been better. The only time it acts up is when I get lazy and I start drinking a bunch of milk or consuming a bunch of milk products. So anyway, side note, if you find yourself breaking out recently as an adult, our bodies change as we get older. Maybe it's milk. So maybe try omitting that and see what happens, but let's make some coffee. I know I put a little more powder than you're supposed to, but I like to make the espresso super strong so that once I add all the milks, it doesn't water it down. So I'm gonna go put ice in the cup.
Hello, Ramona. I can't shake the simplest feeling beyond the ghost. We stand on the opposite shore. Hello, Ramona. I reach through mysterious ceilings, my only hope. I look for the things I don't know. I stand alone. Show me where the end.
So this ring is done. I'm just gonna put it in the ultrasonic cleaner and get some of this rouge out of the little nooks and crannies, and then I will take it to the post office. This is an old piece that I made a long time ago. It has a white buffalo in it, and someone recently purchased it. This was from about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, whenever I was working with more turquoise and these types of stones. I love this ring and I love this stone so much. It's so unique and beautiful, and I'm so glad it finally has a home. And then this is the Aurora ring. This is one of the first designs that I ever made after I learned how to solder. So yeah, I love this ring and I love wearing it. I haven't worn mine in a long time, but this one is going home as well. I'm gonna go ahead and put these in the ultrasonic and in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this studio vlog, and if you did, please like and subscribe if you're not subscribed. It really does help my channel grow, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.
To get back the life I used to know.